Okay, let's talk about the OnePlus 5 and a few other things that could maybe come up, because I have so many things that I want to talk about regarding this device that I'm not quite so sure what else I will cover even now. So we will see. It will be a mystery until the very end. But actually the weird thing is why I actually bought one on my own, which is something that I simply don't do. So either I get a review unit or I simply don't review a device. But I did not want to happen what happened last year with the 3 and 3T. Hundreds of people asking me, should I buy the OnePlus 3T or something else, or how is it, what do you think of it, did you review it? I simply could never answer that question. It bugged me quite a lot, so this time I spent the 500 euros and I'm going to talk a little bit about it. And when I say a little bit, it won't be a little bit, it will be a lot. And I will also make one thing, and this is already quite clear, I will make a comparison with all the flagships that I have here at the moment as well, because there will be a comparison with the Xiaomi Mi 6, which is still kind of my favorite phone to date. I also just a few days ago got the HTC U11. Then I just also got today the Nubia Z17. Yes, this will be quite something interesting. And also the Xperia XZ Premium. I won't really go into further about something like the S8 or maybe whatever else there is, like the G6, because I already compared these with other flagships. So this time a new pack of flagships will be coming, but it is all about this bad boy here, the OnePlus 5. So actually I would say let's make a little bit of some size comparison. Okay, first of all, with my current absolute kind of awesome phone, the Xiaomi 6. As you can see, obviously it's taller because this one is 5.15 inches against 5.5, and of course it's noticeably narrower. But I just have to say, this feels incredibly, for me, because I like smaller phones, but for everyone else who likes bigger phones, there are phones like the HTC U11, and here actually it stacks up quite okay. As you can see here, it is pretty much the same in terms of length. It is, though, noticeably, at least I feel it, narrower, and about thickness, it's noticeably thinner. Yes, I gotta say that. Now compared to the Xperia XZ Premium, things are different, because as you can see, now it's shorter, now it's also narrower and noticeably thinner, because the Xperia XZ Premium, with all its great things about it, is not a compact phone. But what is especially what you will see a very narrow phone, also with 5.5 inches, is the Nubia Z17. But I'm not actually gonna make a first impressions video of that, because this is running the Chinese ROM and I can't really do much about it without the Google services. So let's completely focus now on this one. And actually already one thing that I wanna just mention is one thing that slightly irritates me, and I think I will need some getting used to time. As you can see, how much higher the power button is compared to any other phone, because most phones are at about this height by now. Also, for example, here, as you can see with the HTC U11. So what happened for me the first times that I pressed it, every time I want to turn it off, I press like here. This will need some getting used to time, but it is not a bad thing. What is great though, it actually feels super nice and thin. I have to give it to that, because actually I am not a person, not someone who likes 5.5 inches so much, especially, sure, I can review it and I like them and everything else, but I would never really consider them to be used as my daily driver. But this actually could, because just to being so thin with this really great curve, which is actually big and makes it quite nice and easy to hold on to, and actually makes this device, even though as you have seen, it is so much wider than the Nubia. The Nubia is thicker and has this kind of more bulky design, actually is harder to hold on. So even though it's maybe not the most narrow, most compact phone, this is actually quite easy to handle with one hand. And even as you can see here, I have very sweaty hands since it's almost 40 degrees here in the studio. And this device is easy to hold on to. I actually don't think this is slippery at all. So whatever they did here with the finish, it feels grippy. Maybe it's the curve, maybe it's the design, I don't know. Like I said, the button, nice clicky feedback, absolutely nice, just a little bit high on the pressure. What I don't like though is the volume rocker on the other side. For me, it just makes so much more sense on the right side, but it is what it is. We of course have the alert slider. I'm not going all too much into the rest, but I have to say, this is actually one of the less hollow feeling devices, and this is a big compliment, because this one feels premium. As you can see, very solid. Also, for example, here with the Mi. But I said it yesterday on Twitter that I think 2017 is the year of the hollow phone, because this feels a little bit hollow, I have to say, and this feels quite hollow. So something like the S8 and G6 feel the same. So this, in my opinion, feels more premium. I have already held phones that feel even more so premium, but this is totally fine for its price, because you get what you pay for and even a little bit more. I like that it feels very also high quality, it doesn't bend. So in terms of build and design, I like it a lot. Of course, the camera protrudes, but I would say let's finally get into the next thing, which is the fingerprint reader. And I have to say this is an awesome one, because as you can see here, very first turn on time, it vibrates every time, which is something that I would personally wish for an option to be turned off, but it is actually not as annoying as on some other phones, because as you can see, the screen turn on time is crazy fast. And yes, I will make this an extended first impression speed. I have no problem with that, because I guess actually I will give you more information here than I will later on in the review. But yeah, yes for the fingerprint reader. Maybe not quite so much yes is one thing. As you can see here, there is a screen protector already on it. And that one actually feels quite nice, and it can be actually cleaned off quite okay, as you can see here. So this one looks fine, but I think I will get it off after a few days anyways, because what it does is you still can feel it here on the side, and I use a lot of bezel adjusters, especially the ones to the sides, and here it's a little bit annoying. What I like though, we have a notification LED, actually a multicolor one. But let's get to the next thing, the display. It is AMOLED, and according to a few tweets, it is also pretty much, not just pretty much, but the exact same display as we had last year on the 3T. Which, in my opinion, since I've never used another one, the last OnePlus that I had was the 1, not the 2, not the 3, not the 3T or anything else. And that's why I can only judge this one, and I have to say I'm super pleased with this display. Of course, I need a few more days, but what I can say for so far, it's bright, I like the colors. Personally, one thing that I don't really get much of it is, as you can see, we have the default mode, we have sRGB, which I think is maybe accurate. Yeah, nice, but it's totally too boring. I don't like the colors. DCI-P3 I also really don't get all that much for. And we have custom color, which is default, but with color temperature control. But what I get right now from default is what I like so far. And I have to say, sharpness is fine. And yes, a lot of people say, yeah, just because of 1080p AMOLED, it's not a flagship. Personally, I don't care. Speaker. Let me tell you what I think of it. First of all, I am still very disappointed that it is not a dual speaker system, because I don't get why not. Because it's just downfiring. Okay, I have to give it to that. It is, I think, actually by far the loudest downfiring speaker that I've heard, but it's not really high quality. It gets the job done because it still sounds quite nice, but it's so loud that I use it maybe like 80%. Everything above sounds already too loud and then too hollow. But please, next time use the earpiece for the highs, and then we'll get a better sound, because it actually makes a bigger difference than you would ever expect. But it's fine. Headphone jack, I quickly tried it. I'm not quite so sure why some people hype it so much, because it sounds good, but not really that much more. Now, one thing, I don't know if I should actually already go to it. Yes, let's talk about it. The performance. Every review so far, I've just seen a few, like 2 or 3 reviews, and just briefly to get a glimpse of it, said how crazy smooth this phone is, and I don't see this, because if I go on the browser, for me the scrolling feels very weird, because it definitely shows that it can perform, but what I'm not seeing on this display is the AMOLED smoothness that I like so much, because AMOLED displays are known for being extremely smooth, and just feeling perceived smoothness is way better than on any LCD display, and this is not what I'm seeing, because to me the scrolling feels very flickery, like there is some kind of strobing effect, because if I scroll very fast with a lot of text, it actually makes my eyes a little bit hurt, because it feels so stuttery, because this feels more like 45 frames, not 45 frames in terms of smoothness, but just not completely smooth. And I definitely hope they will fix this, because if this won't get fixed, even though the performance feels very nice, especially for example with the double tap to switch between the apps and everything else, 6 gigs or 8 gigs, it doesn't matter. This could actually maybe be a deal breaker, because it's not that the performance is missing, it's just that this is kind of annoying to my eyes, and it feels so weird, because I've never seen this kind of jumpy, stuttery scrolling. I'm not quite sure what this is about, and I really hope something is gonna happen, because yes, I got the update today already, but I'm not sure what this is. Maybe tomorrow, maybe 2 days ago, or 2 days later, I will be so used to it, or something else will happen, because I think all the syncing and everything else already happened, because I let it settle down, and it seems to perform fine now. But this weirdness is still going on, which has to just go away. Now, battery life. We have a 3300 milliamp hour of battery, or 32? No, it's 33. And battery life seems good. I'm not quite so happy as I am with the Xiaomi Mi 6, because so far it seems decent, but for example, for the first 3 hours that I've used it, just in screen time, I am at about 20% per hour, but that is on Wi-Fi, so it doesn't look all that convincing. But with 5.5 inches AMOLED, Snapdragon 845, the efficiency, there should be actually quite a good battery life possible with this one. So maybe a few updates, or maybe since it is heavy syncing and so on with a lot of apps running in the system, because it's so fresh, I can't judge it fully yet, but I hope that it will be better than it appears to be for now, but it's not a problem. But actually, let's get into one thing which I'm actually maybe impressed the most, and that is the software. And yes, I didn't change anything. Of course, yes, I did change the theme, but this is everything stock. As you can see here, we have the stock launcher. I like that because it actually has some nice features that I just want to take a few more minutes than I usually do, because I'm not of someone who is a fan of talking about software. But in this case, I have, first of all, alert slider. Of course, I don't really need to talk about it. You get some extra options for that. But this is something handy. I'm not quite sure how often I will use it, but it's nice to have. The next thing, buttons. This is already kind of my favorite feature. I've tweeted that because, first of all, backlight. We can turn it off, something I actually didn't even notice because I don't like the backlight of buttons. So it is nice. I actually wanted to complain about it, but I just see it's there. Swap buttons, you can of course switch if this is back or if it's recent apps. I switched it because personally, as a right-hander, this is the most convenient place to get back. So back, it's for me on the right. On-screen navigation bar is available. I definitely won't ever use this because these buttons just do the trick. But this is the interesting part. We have a long press and a double press action or double tap action for the home button, the recent apps button, and the long press button. But it's not just that we have that, but it's what we have here. Because what I did, for example, here is long press action for the home screen is to turn the screen off. Why? Because I said it, I'm not quite as used to the power button being where it is. Then double tap action for the home button is to bring down the notification tray, which is super handy. I personally don't need it because I have gestures that do the same, for example, here. Or usually this works as well, which of course it doesn't do now. Doesn't matter, but it works. I usually do this, but this is something cool. Now, recent app button. What do I have here? Long press to get menu button. For some apps it still is necessary, and double tap for the assistant. Now, back button is my most favorite because this is the most convenient button to reach, and I want to get the best options out of here. What I have here is long press to get the menu as well, because that's something I usually use, and double tap to get to the last app. And this actually makes a difference because of course you can just twice hit the, not twice, but 2 times the recent apps to go to that. You can actually switch that. So it's very well, but this directly switches, not going to this view and then back. And that's why I think this is so awesome, because just double tap and you are in the next app. So amazing. And this alone already makes it for me already the best skin out there. Gestures also, what we have, 3-finger screenshot, I like that. Double tap to wake. I won't use it because on way too many phones it triggered my phone in the pocket. There is something to prevent that, but I just don't need that option anymore since we have fingerprint readers that work so well. Of course, music control. Here is also cool things. For example, as you can see here, we have some off-screen gestures. And in this case, this would be the flashlight with the S, for example, here. And it works so nice. Absolutely love that feature because, yeah, cool. It is handy. This is actually something useful, and that's why it's integrated, and that's why I appreciate it. Show battery percentage, nice. Of course, also for iCam Manager, the default launcher that I'm using. Display, there is screen calibration as I showed already. Night mode, reading mode, not much so interesting. Now here was one thing that I like. Default theme, as you can see here, it will get applied. This is the white one. You can always set the accent, but I am so happy that we have the option to use a black mode, which is called a dark mode. I'm happy that it's actually black and not just dark, because this saves battery on AMOLED display. Nice. But of course, accent colors. What I would wish for here, some more customization, because we only get 8 colors, and yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of most of them, so yeah. Ambient display, which is something that you see every time I pick the phone up, because that shows you, like on Google, the time. Weird thing is though, I can't really do anything on it because I can't just double tap it as I think I can on Pixel devices. So that's something a little bit weird. Lift up display, which is of course if you lift it up. Notification, LED notifications is quite nice because you can change the color of the notification light. But what I would have wished to have an option is, like for example with light flow, where I can just use a specific color for a specific app. This is not available. I guess with light flow we can get past that. What else? Sound and vibration. Normal options, not really too much. We have an audio tuner. Of course, that one only gets activated once we have the headphones in. I will talk about that a little bit maybe more in the review once I know what to actually think about it. Of course, notifications. What is out? Yeah, what else is there? Yeah, that's mostly it, I would say. This is good enough for the software. Let's quickly talk about the camera. I've tried the selfie cam. Really looks nice. Did some low light shots. They look really good. And of course, I tried the camera just briefly, and I have to say I like what I've seen so far. But no. This was, I know, kind of like the review without proper numbers. I didn't give you the brightness yet. I didn't give you the proper battery life or some other things. But this is not supposed to be that. This is supposed to be a kind of extended first impressions video being 50 minutes long. So what do I think of the OnePlus 5 so far after a few hours, not having used any other OnePlus since the original OnePlus 1 that I actually still have? Okay, design. Totally fine with it. I actually don't really see that much resemblance of an iPhone once you have it in your hands, because the iPhone doesn't have nearly as much of a curve here. And I definitely think it looks unique. One thing that I don't get is with my sweaty hands is that this is supposed to be gray. I am not sure what this is, because this is the standard version, 500 euros or $479. This, in my opinion, is not great. This is kind of like dark purple or plume or something like that. And I definitely would have wished for the midnight black version, but I just didn't want to pay 60 more because I don't need the extra storage, and the 2 gigs of RAM extra I don't think will be noticeable. Display, fully pleased, because I still prefer an AMOLED display, especially if it's calibrated that well, because it doesn't have the extreme oversaturation of Samsung. I like that so much. Quality seems fine. The sharpness is more than fine for me. The speaker is maybe not my most favorite thing, but what is super important, that it is very loud and it sounds decent, so that is more than fine for me. Yes, there are way better speakers out there on the market, but if it's at least loud and sounds solid, especially very loud, then I'm fine. Headphone jack, yeah. Performance, like I said, this is the one thing that I hope I will get either used to the little bit strobing, stuttery weirdness of it, or they will just fix it, because I don't think this is just in my head, because I have so many other phones here to compare with, especially something extremely buttery smooth. And let's actually try this side by side. If you can see the difference here with the HTC U11, or I could also use the Xperia Z Ultra, this is XC Premium. As you can see here, this super smooth, super nice. I don't know. I see some. This kind of already reminds me on a Samsung device with this little jerkiness. As you can see, I don't see that at all on the U Ultra. I don't see this at all on the Xperia, as you can see, which is also a killer performer. Okay, maybe it does a lot of background stuff because I didn't use it for 3 days, but this is also crazy fast. This is easily on par with the HTC U11, but I'm not seeing this here yet. So I have, how many Snapdragon 835 devices now? 4 here. This one, the Xiaomi Mi 6, the HTC U11, and the XZ Premium, and 3 of them, not being included with the OnePlus, noticeably are smoother. Not faster, but smoother. This weirdness is not there. Especially from an AMOLED display, this is not what I expected. I expected it to be even smoother. So yeah. Battery life, I'm not expecting too much, because what I'm seeing on the Xperia XZ, yeah, looks good. Actually, more than fine. U11, I can't judge it. Xiaomi Mi 6, amazing, because that one actually has a 50 milliamp hour battery, bigger, and the smaller display, so definitely has an amazing battery life. But this one should be good enough. I don't see any problems. Software is actually the big thing for me, which I did not expect, because on this phone I could actually use even the stock launcher. Why? For example, swiping down allows me to get to the notification sheet, which is something that I simply want to have on the home screen. Also here, for example, as you can see, I actually like the I don't know what they call it, the dash or the draw kind of, no, I don't know. I don't really care. I also like the themes because it gives me some customizability, very limited, but this is minimalistic and clean and nice enough. So yeah, I could use this, because as you can see also we have these long press gestures. Nice, like it. The camera, I don't really even care that much about it, but I already know from what I saw that I will be more than pleased. So, first impressions conclusion, which doesn't mean all that much yet, because as I said, I like it so much. I like it so much, and it could actually be my daily driver. Not just because I bought it, because I could just sell it in a few months, but I think I could actually even keep this, which means even more so because this is a 5.5 inch, and usually I wouldn't even consider to use a 5.5 inch as my daily driver, which in this case, with the overall qualities, I would, if they fix the weird performance, because otherwise I have not... I don't quite know what else yet, because the rest I like so much, because it feels way better than I thought, and now I kind of get why everyone was liking the 3T so much and the 3, because having not used the OnePlus for so many years, because I was a little bit a burnt kid, because I had the OnePlus One with the yellow tint, and yeah, support was quite hard for me, because I had actually 2 OnePlus Ones and I couldn't really return them easily, so I kind of gave up, sold one, kept one, gave it to my brother and so on. Yeah. But I would say wait a few more days, actually a few more than usually, maybe still, because I'm in no rush for the review. I still have to kind of review the HTC 11, the XC Premium, which I got before. I also have the Nubia here and yada yada yada. Of course, the review will be very positive, but not yet with an absolute mind-blowing recommendation, just for now, just because of the performance. It's the only thing. And I'm not quite sure why everyone else says it's crazy, super smooth, fast. I don't know. But in case you wanna now know, should I get the OnePlus 5, or I can answer you this in case with the HTC 11, with the XE Premium, with the Nubia Z11, and in that regard I will also mention the S8 and G6, which are personally not so high on my favorite list, because these two phones just didn't do it for me personally. I definitely can tell you already that the HTC 11 easily for me beats those two. And this will actually be a very good fight. Yeah, it will be. Okay, way too long, and I think this will be longer than the review, but I think I will even have more information for the review, and I will go fully freak out nerd in that one to give you the best possible, most in-depth information. So you definitely won't need to ask me, should I buy this or should I not, because you will know. And that's where I'm gonna leave it. I know it was kinda already making the review in the future obsolete, but yeah, I had so much to talk about and I did. And now it's time for you to say whatever you want to in the comments. Leave it a like and maybe a subscription. Yes.